Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Nirvik podcast. I hope all of you are doing well. Sorry, I couldn't have uploaded any videos over the past 2 months. To be honest, I was quite busy with my pre board exams and my upcoming class 10 board exams. Today, I found some free time, so I thought I'll record another video and share it with all of you. If you like the content presented today, please like the video and share it with your friends. And also, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Let's begin with our video. Today's topic is about finding the perfect trade and executing it to profit of it. So without wasting any time, let's go to TradingView and look at a few charts to analyze a few of the trades which I have taken in the past or the trades which I'm going to take in the future and how I'll manage to execute them. So here I have logged into my TradingView account, and here, firstly, we have the chart of a company named Mahanagar Gas Limited. So, to give you a brief idea about the company basically deals with distribution of gas services in the region of Maharashtra. So, let's start with our analysis. So, firstly, before going into deeply and talking about the chart specifically presented here, I would like to share a little bit more about what my setup here is. So I'm a swing trader. Basically, that means I hold trades anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks up to a couple of months. So for that, I do not use charts time frames for charts below 4 hours. So that's my threshold. I don't go under 4 hours because there's no need for me to look into time frames smaller than that as I'm trading for a longer horizon. Okay, so this is the daily chart firstly of Mahanagar Gas Limited. So let me explain about all these lines presented here. So basically, these are moving averages, exponential moving averages, and I've clubbed them together in an indicator. Uh, because this is the free version of TradingView, it does not allow you to put more than 3 indicators at a time. So I created this simple code to put 5 EMAs together. So that I can have more number of indicators on my screen. So basically, these are exponential moving averages, and the time frames are 20-day moving EMA, 50 EMA, 100 EMA, 150, and 200 EMA. So the colors can be seen here. 20 days green colored, 50 days yellow colored, 100 days blue colored, 150 is purple, and 200 is black. So that's basically it. I only use exponential moving averages as my primary indicator for trading. Other than that, I look into the price action before placing any trade. Okay, so firstly, before analyzing the daily charts, I like to have a top-down approach for any company that I'm viewing. So I start with a monthly time frame, then go on to the weekly, and then finally come down to the daily chart to analyze how the stock will perform in the upcoming days or months. Okay, so let's first go to the monthly chart of Mahanagar Gas Limited. So let's analyze this first. So we can see here that the company IPO'd in the year of 2016, July 2016, and from then we haven't seen much of any movement in this stock, right? So it listed around 530 rupees. Its high was around 1357, 1376. Sorry. Let's mark them first. I'll just mark the lows and the highs on the monthly chart. Okay, so this gives me a broader idea about what the specific range of the stock has been across its lifetime. So, as you may have also read on our website, that I published an article a few weeks back on how stocks move. So, the stage analysis does not I'm sorry. The stage analysis will not work here because the stock has not been listed for a lot of time, and there is no price action to support that analysis. So what I'm going to do is I cannot see anything much on the monthly charts, except I can mark a few resistance and support levels. So here I see one resistance, I'll mark this, and here I see one support, I'll mark this around these levels. I see a good support. Okay. So that's basically it. I don't see much here on the monthly charts, so I'll move to a smaller time frame, which is of that of a weekly chart. So I'll go to a weekly chart. By the way, I'm using a simple candlestick chart here, which is the most common form of chart traders use these days. Okay, so for a moment of time, I don't want these indicators. I'll just hide them. I'll just hide my indicators and focus on the chart. So here we can see that this region, I'll just mark it quickly. So in this region, we haven't seen any movement lately in this stock, and it has been sideways for a couple of years. But something interesting which I see here is this trend line, which I can draw from the candle high of 13 December 2021 to the candle here presented on 1st August of 2022. So what I observe here is the stock was in a downtrend. It was making lower lows continuously up to this level, these levels. I'll just take a pen. This was a high, this is a lower high, this is another lower high, this is a lower low, and this is a lower low. So there were lower highs and lower lows being presented on the chart here, which indicates that the stock had been completely in downtrend from the starting of 13 December 2021 till 1st of August 2022. So I'll just sorry, I'll just remove these drawings for a moment. I'll erase all of these and we'll focus more on this area. So I'll redraw the trend line again. So we can see that a trend line is being drawn, and this is a falling wedge pattern. Most people would like to call it a falling wedge pattern. So this was the case for the stock from 13 December 2021 to 1st August of 2022, almost a year, more than a year, 13 months. Okay, then I can see here that there's a double bottom. There's a double bottom kind of structure being formed here. Okay, so double bottom is here, and the level to be broken, sorry, the level to be broken for this double bottom to be confirmed is of this high of 4th April 2022, which stands at 865 rupees. Okay, so I'll just remove these drawings for a moment. Just a second, I'll redraw this. Okay, so I can see a falling wedge and a double bottom on the charts. So, okay, so this was my analysis till 1st August 2022. Let's see what happened after that. So we see a strong green candle of 13.5% in the month of August itself, in the second week of August of 2022, which has broken this lower high and has formed and this lower high as well as this one. So this has shown that the chart has broken the double bottom, the falling wedge pattern, as well as the trend. So what we can observe here is that the trend has reversed. So that we can clearly observe that the trend has reversed on the weekly charts. So this is a good observation that we have made, that the stock is now out of its downtrend and can move upwards. So do we buy it at this level on this candle? No. According to me, we should not buy it at this level because there's more to it than just the trend being broken. I mean, the trend can fail and the stock could again move into the falling channel or break this low. But as we had observed on the monthly charts, this was a strong support for the chart, this and this level. Okay, so these were, I'm sorry, MGL. Yeah, so these levels were strong support levels for the chart on the monthly time frame. That's what we had observed. Okay, so this has given a positive bias that the stock might now be setting up for us to buy in the future. Okay, so I always like to time my entries on the daily chart because the weekly chart I believe is too slow and takes time to form. So for my analysis, I can use the weekly chart to analyze the trends and how the stock has moved in the past. But for timing my entries and taking them, always use the daily chart. So in a moment, we'll go to that also. Okay, so let's further continue our analysis. So this level was broken decisively and the lower highs were also taken out. So we have three confirmations here that suggest that the trend has changed from a downtrend and has moved to an uptrend. Okay, so what do we do? I'll not erase, sorry. I'll draw another trend line from this support and join these candles. I'll join these. So now what it's indicating is this candle specifically, I'll just highlight it. This candle is showing that the stock has now moved from a downtrend to an uptrend. Okay. So this basically confirms our observation that the stock has now completely changed its trend and is an uptrend, and it is available for us to buy. Okay. One more thing, I don't like to short the markets because, firstly, in the Indian markets, you're not allowed to short in the cash segment or the delivery segment. It's not allowed by the SEBI, and you can do that only via derivatives such as that of futures and options. And futures and options is a very high risk, high reward game and requires a lot of capital so that you can manage your risk properly. So for people like me, it's not feasible to have that much capital. So I'm always on the buy side. That's why I don't look into shorting the stocks. I only look towards buying them for a swing, to play a swing. Okay. So now that we have confirmed that the stock is in uptrend, we can go to our daily charts and try to point out an entry from which we can buy the stock and probably profit from it. Okay. So let's move on to the daily chart. And now I would like to bring my indicators back again, which is the EMA. Okay, so because it has a vital role in deciding if I want to buy a stock or not. So I'll just remove this drawing so that the chart does not look very complicated. Okay, so let's move to the daily chart. And I had explained what these EMAs were, the different colored lines. So EMA is nothing but basically it's an average of the stock price over a particular time frame. So it's a very simple indicator, but is very effective in trading. So let's start. So what I observed in this chart was we had marked this downtrend from here, which had ended completely, and the stock had reversed its trend. So that's what we could see in the higher time frames. So now what we do is we try to find out where we can enter this stock. Okay, we cannot enter it anywhere, but a specific point is required for our entry. So what I observe in this chart is the volatility of the stock price as well as the volumes are contracting with each subsequent swing. So what I mean by that is I'll neglect this swing because it was in the downtrend. Our uptrend started somewhere around here. Okay, so let's rewind a little bit and take this point of reference where it tried to break out of its downtrend and reverse, but it couldn't. So this point, I'll just mark it. This point of is my point of reference for going further into my analysis up to this point of the candle made on Friday 10th February 2023. Right. So this is my horizon which I'll be looking into for planning this trade. Right. So let's look at it. Let's measure the contractions. Okay, so let's measure the contractions. If I take a price range and I draw it from this high, let's just pull it a little. Let's just put it aside a little for a moment. Yeah. So we'll take this high and we'll see the price change from this high to this low. It's around 22.5%, right? Around 22.5% from this change. Now we'll take another reference point, another high, which was broken, from which the downtrend reversed, which is this point. And let's take this as a reference point and mark it to the low which it made in this swing. So this was approximately 16%, 16% move. from in this swing. Now my third reference point will be these highs where the stock is facing high resistance, a lot of resistance. So I'll take this and take pull it to the low of the chart. So this is approximately 10%. I'll just widen it. Yeah, approximately 10.5%, 10 to 10.5%. So what I observe here effectively is that the price is contracting. Each swing is smaller than the previous one. Okay, so this has been characterized as and has been named as volatility contraction pattern by famously by the super trader Mark Minervini. So he currently holds the world record for the most percentage return in a single year, and has won the US Investing Championship of 2021. So his return was 1311% in a single year, and he has been one of my greatest teachers in my trading journey, whose books have helped me greatly and learning more about how to find the perfect trades and executing them. So this is one of his methodologies in which he trades the stocks. So okay, let's continue. So this is what we can observe here is the price contracting. So if we look, this is a good time. I mean the prices is contracting, so it has a higher chance of breaking out. Why do I say higher chance of breaking out rather than because a stock can move in any direction, it can break down also. But we saw in the weekly charts that the trend had reversed, so there is a higher probability that the stock breaks out rather than breaks down of this range which it has made. Okay, so let's just delete these lines, blue ones, and let's try to observe more. So one of the main indicators which we have to look while doing price action trading is of course the volume. Volume is basically the number of shares which have been transacted throughout the day. Okay, so these blue and red bars which you can see is indicating the volume on a particular day, and this black line on the volume bars is actually nothing but the moving average for the volume. So it's the 20-day moving average for the volume. Basically, it's the average of the volume transacted in the last 20 days from the reference point. Okay, so what we can see is during this accumulation period, the volume has been more or less slow. In some cases, it has been above 20-day moving averages, but if you look at it closely, it has been the volume has been more at some pivotal points. The swings which we had marked have the most amount of volumes. Okay, you can observe that here. So more or less the volume has stayed under the 20-day moving average, which indicates that there has been an accumulation of the stock in this time frame from our reference point here on 7th April 2022 to 10th Feb 2023. Uh, okay, so this is what we have seen. We can this stock won't have a lot of contraction in volumes because it's an FNO stock. So more or less it's being traded every day at huge volumes. So contraction of volumes is very less in compared to illiquid stocks which are being traded on NSE and BSE. So but you can observe that the volume is decreasing every day. Okay, so this shows that there's also been a contraction in the volume. So this supports a theory further that the volume has been contracting as well as the price has been contracting. So there's a higher probability of the stock breaking out and giving us a profit in the near term. Okay, so this we have now four biases which confirm a buy signal for this stock. Three were on the weekly charts with the breakout from a double bottom pattern, the falling wedge pattern, as well as the trend reversal. And on the daily charts, the VCP pattern with the contraction in price as well as the contraction in volume further makes our belief stronger of this stock going higher. Okay, so now there is one last thing which I like to check before buying into stock. On two more things which I like to check. The firstly being the alignment of these moving averages. So there's an indicator called the Williams alligator. So this strategy of mine involving the moving averages for further making our bias stronger is more or less based on that indicator only. So basically, here you can see the moving averages align themselves, I mean, joined themselves together. And when the downtrend started, the moving averages went further away from each other. So what we call this, when the moving averages move away from each other, is called attack mode. So in this, you generally see a long trend being shown by the stock on the charts. So here the downtrend started and the moving averages were further away from each other. But now, when you look closely, and when this accumulation phase is being occurred, is that the moving averages have again joined together. They have come very close. So what this indicates is that if this stock goes higher, this is now the averages are in dormant mode. But if the stock breaks higher and moves into a trend, then these averages will again get further away like they did when the downtrend started, and can give an explosive move on the upside. Okay, so the stocks, so this is one of the observation which I have seen in many stocks to have to have performed out well if the stock has given a breakout. I'll show you one or two examples of this too. Okay, for the moving average one, and as well as the VCP pattern. So let's go ahead and complete our analysis on this stock. So the gate has been formed. I call this an EMA gate. So a gate has been formed. That means the moving averages have aligned together very closely, and there's a higher chance if the stock breaks out, there'll be a continuation in the uptrend. Okay, so we have our fifth bias, which confirms our buy, this trade for a buy. Okay, so this I see one more thing before buying into stock. The pattern is good. The trend is in the upward direction, as well as an EMA gate has been formed, which is more than enough for me to go ahead and buy this stock. But is only getting a buy signal enough to buy a stock? For me, no, I don't believe that, because you have to enter at a good point. Otherwise, your stop loss being hit has a higher chance than your target being achieved. Okay, so what I do for finding a perfect point after the pattern has been completed is to observe a tightness in the range. Like we saw the swing tightness. I like to observe the tightness in the range over the past 2 or 3 days that the stock has moved, and then decide if I want to buy and go ahead, or leave it alone and come back after a few days and check it out again. So for that, the tightness on a candlestick chart is not very accurately measurable, because you have a lot of wicks being formed, which make it difficult for the eye to catch on. Okay, for this, there's a simple technique which you can use, is to switch to a bar chart. So a bar chart is more cleaner than a candlestick charts, and observing tightness in ranges is better seen by the eye rather than on a candlestick chart. So once we have moved to our bar chart, I like to observe the tightness in range. Okay, so you can see multiple tightness forming on the chart. Like you can observe it here on these candles. I'll just mark it out. And this uh, this point here, but this the stock failed to break out and broke down again and forming another base. Okay, so I ignored the buy on this candle because it didn't follow through the next day. So I didn't go ahead and buy this stock. But something interesting happened in another 15 days, which is it formed another base here. And if you look closely, the base is quite tightly formed around the moving averages, which is a good thing. Okay, so this can be marked as a range for us, as a small rectangle pattern. Many may say it's a rectangle pattern too. So this rectangle pattern had quite tight range from 880 to 833. Okay, so once this broke out on 8th of Feb, I waited. I didn't jump on 8th of Feb. I waited to see if there was a follow through, because there's a hurdle at 924, 925 for this stock, which, if seen, which is quite a strong resistance the stock faces. So I waited to see if there's a follow through. But the next day, the stock failed to follow through and formed a red bar. But this red bar was above the range which it broke out from, which gave me further confidence that the stock is still strong and a buy can be initiated in the upcoming days. Okay, so uh, so I waited for the next day, that is on Friday. On Friday, this is a very interesting thing to see. As the stock opened near the high of the range of this rectangle, but quickly followed through and closed more than half of the previous candle low. So this is not properly a piercing line candle, but the all the rules are being followed. That the stock opened below the low of the previous day and closed above half of the body of the previous candle. So we can some consider it somewhat as a piercing line. And now that we have confirmed that the stock is strong and has a positive bias on our analysis, what we can do is we can buy once this high is cut and this resistance has been crossed. So that is it. This is a perfect trade. This is how you find trades which are young, and the moves in trades which are young, and you can easily buy on an average in the upcoming days for this stock and probably make a good amount of money from it. So this was it. This is how I plan on entering stocks. Now, there's more to it. There's risk management to be followed, and and many other things about how to handle this trade, and which I'll be discussing probably in another video. Because if I do so, this video will be a lot longer, probably 2-3 hours. There's quite a lot to it. I'll make separate videos about the risk management and the pyramiding and how to pyramid on the successive basis which will be formed. Okay, so before ending this video, I'll show you examples of explosive moves that have followed after the formation of VCP patterns and daily gates. One of my favorite stocks that observed this pattern recently was Liberty Shoes. Okay, so Liberty Shoes, you can observe it was not a VCP, but there was a long base which had been formed in this area, and the stock had volume contractions. You can see there were very little places where the volume was high, and that was also from the swings that it were made. We can observe this as a VCP if we take this swing till this low. This is 42%, then this is 27%, then this move here is just 6%, right? So this is kind of a VCP, not a proper textbook style VCP, but you can consider it as there's a contraction in price as well as contraction in volume. Okay, so fundamentally it's a VCP, but it's not a textbook VCP like we saw in MGL previously. Okay, and we can see here that the that an EMA gate has been formed, and the stock has broken out of its rectangle pattern that was observed in this range. Okay, so this was broken, and then you can see the move which it has given. You could have bought it somewhere around here if we are looking on a perfect entry for this stock, and it just rallied to approximately around 150% in 2 months. That's impressive. That's more than impressive. So I'll just show you one more stock. This one I personally traded to. It was Adani Power. So I'll just delete these previous markings which I had made. Okay, so a textbook style VCP is observed here. Oh, I'm so sorry. I deleted the indicators too by mistake. EMA. Just a second. I'll just review my settings. Okay, so in Adani, we can see a VCP here. It's a 56% move. Then this is a 28% move. And from here, it's just a 20% move. Okay, so this is a textbook style VCP being formed, and then we see a tightness in range. Okay, so technically the gate is not as strong as we had seen in the previous two stocks, but the averages are quite aligned here, so we can consider it as an EMA gate. Okay, so in trading, you won't find everything to be perfect at every moment because there are a lot of variables which come into action. And so you have to compromise a little bit and make your observation skills better. So we see a tightness in range, and then the stock broke out. And if we consider it till the high, and this just a disclaimer that no one can buy at the low and sell at the high, but this is just an example that we are seeing. So we can take it till the 52-week high. So it was almost 225% in March, April, May, June, July, August, September. In 6 months, in half a year, you got 225%. Isn't that impressive? So this is one of the ways in which you can find explosive stocks and make money trading them. So I hope that you got to learn something new today, and I'll take your leave. Before going, I just want to give a quick disclaimer that everything discussed in this video was just for educational purposes and should not be taken as a form of advisory. Please, we are not SEBI registered advisors, and please trade at your own discretion. Thank you so much. I hope you enjoy our video today.